To create your design, I prefer drawing on a piece of paper first and then transfer that to my cloth. I have done a southern bent wing bat, and this is an endangered species. They're found at the Narracort Caves. It is a nocturnal mammal, and it comes out at night and eats moths and insects. What I've done here is I've drawn this several times. This is the one that I'm happy with. I have then darkened the drawing lines with a felt pen. Once you've done that, you then transfer it onto your cloth. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can do that. You can hold your image behind the cloth, like so, and then hold it up to a window and draw directly onto the cloth. A light box. I've used a pencil for the two circular shapes, but then the blue outline is with a water-soluble pen that you can buy from a craft store, I guess. So once you've finished doing your stitching, all you need to do is, with a damp cloth, just put it over those blue lines and then they will just disappear. Once I'm happy with the design on the piece of cloth, I then try and work out what stitch that I would like to use. I use a very basic stitch. It is just a straight stitch, and I use a back stitch and sometimes a chain stitch. But with this piece that I'm going to be working on today, it is all straight stitch and back stitch. You can create quite a bit of movement with your stitch. So I've done drawings of how a running stitch could look. By changing the direction of the stitch, you can create movement. So down with this one, it's sort of a little bit like a landscape, and that's just by changing the direction of the stitch. This one is my favourite. So once again, it's still straight stitch, but you're just crossing over, and there's a little bit more freedom in that type of stitch. Down here, I haven't put an outline, so you can stitch within an imaginary outline. And this is stitching on the outside of an imaginary outline. Here's another one, leaves. So that's all just a running stitch. I've created a bit more depth on one side by adding just more straight stitches. This is just demonstrating a running stitch. A running stitch is great for outlines, and you can put your needle through several times before you pull through your thread. And you can create a bit of depth and texture by placing the stitches close together. You can also change the length of your stitch. Now what I'm going to do with this row is do very small stitches and have a big space. With this row, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do long stitches with a small space in between the stitches.